Siasto.
And we're live. Welcome to Love and Money Secrets TV. And today we have with us Rob and Ina, who were, Rob was a participant in the 90-day HeartMate consciousness experiment that started on May 7th of 2021. And our intention was to, in a 90-day period, to manifest our heartmates. And so it was an incredible 13-week journey that began on May 7th, and it went all the way through to August 5th of 2021. Rob, thank you for joining us. Ina, thank you for joining us today. And thank you also for your willingness to share your incredible love story of how you two not only found each other, but you created each other. And even though you were traveling, you were able to still come to the point where you've met. So thank you for joining us today.
Sure, my pleasure, our pleasure.
So Rob, take us down your story and tell us, where you were leading up to the 90-day HeartMate consciousness experiment that started in May of 2021, where you were at, what you were looking for, and take us on the journey as to how this all unfolded for you.
Wow, it's kind of a fun story for me. About a year ago, I started a major transition in my life. I had sold everything, sold all of or basically gave most of my stuff away, and sold my condo and moved out. I bought a van or an RV, and I started traveling. And my travels went through one synchronistic turn of events to another. Around the time just before, I guess, the 90-day experiment started, I was feeling kind of lonely. Van life or RV traveling has a habit of doing that. And so I felt like I wanted to do a little experiment and try to manifest myself. And so I had been doing Joe Dispenza's manifesting series, and turned that, what I had learned, into just a quest to find a partner, I guess. And then I came across your invitation to join the program, and so I did, and that's kind of where I was at the time.
Okay. And so Ina, so leading up until the first part of this year, up to, let's say, May, what was going on with you at that time?
Yeah, I'm also, was involved in work. I worked as a doctor in practice. So I, with my lifestyle, I practice a very healthy lifestyle, paying attention to light and stuff. So, I thought I almost gave up on meeting someone who would be, fitting into the lifestyle I do. I did have a list of what I want in a partner. I was not even dating much because I, been in a previous relationship, and like it was not what I wanted. But I knew what I wanted. Interestingly, when we met, and looked at each other's lists, it was exactly, each list would reflect the other person. It was like incredible. It was, I don't know, if I would be told that it would be reality, I would say, it's not possible.
Oh my gosh, but it sounded like you both had come to points in your lives where you were very clear about what you wanted.
Yes.
And so you're like, okay, let me try again and see if I can manifest, this. Surely if I have this list of wants that I want in another human being, surely, they have to exist somewhere in the universe. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wanting these things. And so you didn't cheat yourself. You didn't betray yourself for not getting that just to be, in the company of someone. You're like, no, this isn't what I want. This is really what I want. So I'm going to hold out to bring into my experience this person. So you're both doing the same thing. You knew you had a clear intention.
Yes.
You're marrying it with that elevated emotion of love, of anticipation that yes, it's going to happen. And maybe it won't happen, but let's hold out hope that it's going to happen, right?
Right.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And so then that's amazing that you guys came together and then your lists both like matched and melded together. So, okay. So now fast forward. So I know this was probably between the 10th and the 13th week of our 90-day heart-made consciousness experiment that then you guys met. So actually, how did you meet? Because Rob, I remember you were every Monday when we would have, we have people that are all over the world that were participating in this, but we were traveling across the country with you as you were visiting all these different states and, all these different places. So where did you what state were you in where you met in terms of geography? And I know what state Rob was because he was like blissing out and he's like, he had just gotten his adorable little puppy who kind of became our mascot towards the end.
It's right here.
Oh, and I know that completed making your heart just like bust wide open. You were so in love with that cute puppy. Oh my gosh, are you going to bring her on camera?
Yeah, I will try.
Yeah.
He's sleepy, right there.
Oh, so cute, so much bigger, but so adorable. What was her name again?
Stevie. So we thought of an interesting, Ina just thought of this too. Stevie's original name was Nina, Nina.
Oh my gosh.
And so, and at the time I wanted a different name. And so I picked Stevie after I picked her up. And so Stevie's original name is an anagram of Ina's name, INNA. So that was pretty cool. We just kind of figured that out yesterday, in fact.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so I was in New York State, and a series of events put my, it's kind of every little step was a synchronicity. It was really cool. My computer crashed. I brought it to the shop. Because of that, I was using my phone exclusively during this time, and on Facebook, I've never been on a dating site. I was on, so because my computer crashed, I was on my phone, and the Facebook dating app came up on my phone. I was like, okay, I'll try this. And so it was 3 days later, I met Ina. I saw her profile and was intrigued by it. And maybe a couple weeks later, Ina asked if we wanted to meet, and I said sure. So I was in New York State. She was in Massachusetts. Ina is a doctor as well, so we're both MDs. And she was working at the time. She had a day job or a week job Monday through Friday in Western Massachusetts. But excuse me, but her home is here in Eastern Massachusetts, where we are now. And so we agreed to meet at her apartment in Western Massachusetts in early August. And there's synchronicities all along the way. It was really, really cool. We met. Ina had a previous marriage in her, it's okay if I say about David. And David was murdered approximately 8 years ago. And so Ina had to go through this horrific time of losing her husband and whatnot. But we actually met on his birthday.
Oh,
Yeah,
you met on his birthday?
yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, the felt that number 8 was important.
Yeah, and the number 8 kept popping up. There was just a lot of like little signs that, you know, every little step led to an easier next step kind of thing. And so we ended up meeting. Our first date was August 7th, David's birthday. And that was a Saturday. We basically spent all day together and then all of Sunday together. I slept in, you know, my van in the parking lot. And that week, Ina was to go on a camping trip, but through a series of synchronistic events, that kind of didn't happen. And so on Monday, after spending 2 days together, Ina gave her her first notice of resignation at work at the hospital. And what?
That's a life-changing decision to just resign from your, you know, from your place of employment, from where you're working, your career, and say, this is it, I'm done, I'm over. You're just walking away. So Ina, you must have, obviously you were both feeling something very powerful between the two of you, a very powerful connection. Powerful attraction. I gotta say, I kind of feel like your former husband, who's now passed away, I kind of feel like that his energy was like,
yes,
he loved you so much, he didn't want you to stay alone in this realm. He's like, you need to meet this guy, he's your perfect one to continue on with you.
It was 8 years that he passed.
Oh my gosh.
You know, our age is 62, so it's also 8. David's age would be 71. It's another 8, so it was number of 8s. 8 was a, you know, over and over number 8, but 8 is also number of an infinity.
Well, I'm very familiar with 8 because that's my life path number, believe it or not. So I'm not surprised that we are all brought together. Oh my gosh, keep talking.
It was really magical. The meeting, you know, once we met, like I never, usually I would wait, process. It's not in my nature to do any rush decisions like this. In three days, it was very clear to me what the next step that I need to the notice from my job. Normally, you wait, you know, even if you give notice, you need to wait by 6 months. But they let me out in 1 month. They let me live in 1 month. So it all, the steps were relatively easy and straight after we put it in motion.
So everything started to unfold, not from a left brain perspective, thinking that it would. You just took an inspired action. You did what you felt was right for you, even though it didn't make sense. And it's not your normal way of doing things that are more slow. You knew that the next step, even though it had only been 3 days, and you knew all the logistics, but it didn't matter. You're like, I got to do this. I got to resign. Everything was moving in your favor. You were in the flow. Yes. Oh my gosh, this is, how much better can it get than this? So what happened next? I mean, 3 days, you give your resignation. What is Rob, when you told Rob, what did Rob say?
That's what we talked about. And, you know, we plan to, move to a warmer place. And we talked about it, and it was what we both wanted. And also there's a number of health issues that we talked between each other. You know, I'm really into quantum health. You know, it's a complicated issue, but it primary role of light in health, light, you know, like natural light is our friend, artificial light is not so much. It's so we talked about it. We both are doctors, so we were talking on the level, understanding each other. And it's not in medicine, it's really not easy to find anybody who is really on the page with you, where, I'm very interested in integrative medicine, in more not allopathic stuff that we practice, but in real medicine to help people to be well rather than treating illnesses.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of prescribing for symptoms, yeah, you're interested in true healing.
Healing, right. Yes.
The true healing and the application of true healing with quantum physics, quantum medicine, et cetera, et cetera. Oh my gosh, this is so even more amazing. I knew it was going to be amazing, but it's even more amazing. Yeah, so I can see why you would think, oh my gosh, this is the list of things that I want in a person. And yeah, both of you are saying, this is what I want. I mean, it really is a needle in a haystack, but in 5D quantum and as energy works, it's like, it's inevitable that the two of you are gonna, because neither of you are saying no to it and you're saying yes to it, it's just a matter of time before, boom, you both pop into each other's experience and the universe will bring you into close proximity to each other, which is exactly what happened.
Right, right.
So you were actually in New York then when you guys met, or were you in Massachusetts?
Well, in Massachusetts, in Western Massachusetts, in the Berkshire. And so from after Ina put in a resignation, we had to vacate that place. And so we moved her from there to here. We're in Beverly, Mass, which is in the North Boston area. And so her place here is beautiful. It's on the beach. It's a condo, literally on the beach, literally. And it's just beautiful here. But so we've been together pretty much joined at the hip for the last 102 days now. We moved in here. It's just been great. We've been learning. Well, for me, it's the first time through a lot of this quantum biology stuff, and we're active. We're outside all the time. We see every sunrise together on the beach. Here, yeah, exactly.
Part of my dream is to be able to enjoy the sunrises and the sunsets because they're the most magical hours of the day.
Yeah.
Of course, the health, but we all know the health benefits, but it is it's a special time. Yeah. Oh my gosh, keep talking.
So we're doing this. Ina's also she swims daily in the ocean. Ooh. Regardless of temperature or weather, not 100%, but I think she's missed 3 days since I've known her, and made up for it the next day. So every day in the ocean she swims, and so so we're planning our future. We're leaving this week for Florida. Ina has a job offer in Florida. She's a specialist. She's trained in pulmonology and critical care medicine. She's a sleep medicine doctor and an integrative. She's boarded in 5 different, sorry.
Wow, 5 board certifications. You're a busy girl.
Yeah. But our goal actually is to open our own health consulting business using quantum biology, quantum medicine, using the percepts of light, magnetism, and water as kind of like the 3 pillars of good health. And we're anticipating we'd like to go to El Salvador. So we're going to do a recon mission or a visit in December and find a place there. It's at the 13th latitude. So there's a lot more sun, direct sun, of course, there than here, and pursue a 2 to 5 year kind of personal health retreat and rebooting of ourselves and get well practiced and learned in quantum medicine and just open maybe a medical tourism place in El Salvador or be part of a medical tourism in the facility there, but also for our own health and our own just kind of, we're in love, we're deeply in love, and we just love doing things together. We're, like I say, we spend 95% of our time together and do all kinds of cool things, even if it's just, we literally walk on the beach every day and just hang out and listen to podcasts and listen to cool, audio books together and do yoga on the beach. And, we're having a great time. We really are.
You're really resonating. You're singing this beautiful melody where it's like you're creating this beautiful harmony and you're just in the flow. Things are good. It's like your wildest dreams are coming true and you're on the same page of music and you're moving forward, creating what you want. Gosh, you're moving from Massachusetts to Florida, which I've got a referral for you. We've talked. When we get off camera, I'll give you more details, but awesome. There's a Dr. Joe community in Florida, in Miami there's actually Belmead Island. There's a community home. They're going to want to have you guys as guests to do some of your modalities with that group. A lot of them are Dr. Joe students, and Patrick Farrell has a very nice group there that will be warm and welcoming and inviting because it's along these same lines. I also have a contact for you in Panama, which is not far from El Salvador. And it's funny because I've been looking to do some of this medical tourism and, applying Dr. Joe's practices and some of the neurosomatic practices that you experienced during my 90-day consciousness experiment. We're looking at doing that in Bali. So we'll be talking about more of that because we can do more of this together. I know that there's a beautiful special collaboration there. But so tell us, so the next thing is you're going to be going to Florida. And so tell us about what else is it that you would want to share with us, that because there's a lot of pain and suffering right now in the world. And there are people right now where we're on planet Earth. And for some people, this planet Earth is hell. And then there are those of us who we're living in the same globe, the same giant magnet. And it's like, I feel like I'm the luckiest woman alive right now. And it's like, it's heavenly and it keeps getting better and better. It wasn't always that way. I had my own little piece of hell and I had to pay my dues. Don't want to ever go back there again, but boy, did I learn a lot. So part of my heart's desire, and I know that my purpose is to inspire others so that they see that, it's like, it's never perfect for anyone. It's not like you're born and you have zero adversities till you go to the grave. We all go through stuff. We all have stuff. There are things that we have to grow through, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And then it could get unbelievably good.
Unbelievable. Any adversity, I went through a lot of it's an opportunity too. It's where the opening is. And we realized when I met Robert that all the life experiences were leading to this moment, and we were ready for each other. Maybe if it would not be for those adversities, maybe it would be different. But we're really ready for each other. We met at the right time, at the right space. It was just right,
It's so good. Now people don't know this unless they've watched the 90-day Heart-Made Consciousness experiment, but I remember there was a particular broadcast. I think it was around between the 9th and the 10th week. And I'll never forget. I think you had Stevie for 1 or 2 weeks, maybe. And Rob was just overflowing with love. Every time we would go on the broadcast, he's like, oh my gosh, I just had our broadcast, we make no bones about it. It's not politically correct. We are real, we're from the heart, and we're truthful. And Rob just said, I am just having the most fucking amazing life. Life is so good. I'm feeling so much love. I have self-love. I love and I adore Stevie. At this point, I mean, I don't, you had just visited your daughter. I think you had visited your son, and you were just walking on cloud 9 and you were vibing high. And you're like, I don't know that I could feel any more love than this, because this is freaking amazing. You were like, your smile could not be bigger. Your cheeks were nice and rosy, and you were just like vibing, like vibrating. Like your aura was like fully fluffed out, and you were like, oh my gosh, this guy is like in the bliss zone. And you're like, I don't know that it can get much better than this. So, and you knew that at that vibration, the only type of person you're going to be attracting is someone that's in that frequency, which shortly thereafter, boom, that's where Ina came in. So now you didn't start off that way though, because I know I saw every single one of us, myself included, every single person, whether they were on the Zoom that they plugged in, that we could see them on the Zooms, or whether they were following along and watching the recordings afterwards. And then of course they're reporting back. Every single person was elevated in their vibrational frequency. A lot of the participants realized that, oh my gosh, I'm doing all these different things as we're doing these different modalities of consciousness. And they realized, oh, here I am trying to manifest a heartmate. This is all about my self-love. I still have issues with loving myself. There's parts of me that I'm rejecting. And if I'm rejecting that and I'm being resistant towards these things, then obviously I'm going to be rejecting somebody else. I can't wholly accept and love them because I can't wholly love and accept myself. And so some of the participants had to go through that process, and successfully so. I don't know of anyone who wasn't able to complete that. And in a very short period of time, they had that breakthrough. And now you're a wonderful manifestation, you and Ina, that you're able to show. It's like, okay, because everybody goes through adversity, challenges. Some of us have horrible things that have happened. Some of them not so horrible, but you know what? So terrible, horrible, bad things, it's relative, because there's always, when it comes to bad things happening to people, that's infinite. When it comes to good things happening, that's infinite too.
Right.
And so if you're watching this broadcast right now and you find yourself right now in a bad place, and you're just looking for one little thread of hope that will give you the impetus to finish today, wake up tomorrow, and try and, get through another day, know that it's really just a decision away. When you go, you know what? I give up. The way I've been doing it hasn't been working. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I don't know how to do this. But the truth is, it doesn't matter that you don't know, because none of us know.
Yeah.
None of us know. When we decide, I'm going to draw a line in the sand. What I've been doing hasn't been working. I've been sucking wind. I keep on having bad things that happen, accidents, medical diagnoses, either people dying or people leaving you, or you leaving people, whatever your pain point is, it's bad stuff.
Right.
You can draw a line in the sand. It's like, you know what? None of that matters. I know that everything, there's no experience wasted, and it could all be used to get me back to the place where I am having the most wonderful, beautiful, loving life, where I legitimately and genuinely can say, I look at myself in the mirror and I don't go, ew. I look at myself in the mirror and go, I love you. And I really do love you. And you're perfect the way you are. And it doesn't matter that I don't look good enough to be on a Vogue magazine by other people's standards. It doesn't matter. I love what I see in the mirror. And then you start that place of unconditional love. And now you've set yourself up to not only feel an incredible amount of vibrational frequency coming through your heart space, and your photons of light are going from, we actually have a German scientific study. I just did a video on this about 2 weeks ago. It shows that when the normal person emits 20 photons of light, they actually used a device that can measure 1 photon at a time. So the average person puts out 20 photons of light. Now, for those of us who do Dr. Joe's work, because we're doing meditations, morning, evenings, sometimes in between, multiple times a day, we're doing the breathing exercises. We're very conscious about how energy is working. Well, when you are doing a heart-brain coherence meditation and you're projecting energy, they actually measured 100 100,000 photons of light, which is why you're able to affect and heal another human being when they're in a place of surrender where they say, yes, I want a coherence healing. Now,
Right.
you are actually affecting their chemistry, you're actually signaling their autonomic nervous system, yada, yada, yada. So we actually have scientific proof of that now.
Yeah.
I love quantum biology.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It really is awesome.
Yeah. And we're beings of light, we're natural, we're, really beings of light. And
We are.
yeah. And the more that we're able to retain light, retaining light is that glow that we have. So, we literally, when we talk to each other, we notice the glow, or, when there's less glow or more glow, we actually really resonate with it in each other.
Yeah.
It's very incredible.
So this is so perfect. This is so perfect because yes, we are light beings, and it's not just an airy fairy spiritual thing, which
No,
the religions, the mystics have known that for years. We scientifically have proven we are all energy and light. Yeah.
Yes. The other thing I want to mention, relationships require attention and work. It's not like we met, it's beautiful, and we go on sunset. We actually do the work on relationship.
Yeah. We've been doing relationship work since day one, basically.
Because you love it.
Yeah. Using the Imago motto. We sit and we talk with each other. We actively do that. Even like the last couple of times, like we did it, and we're like, I don't have any issues. I'm just going to tell you how much I love you. So it was like, rather than talk about issues, we're at a point right now, and it's only like I mentioned, this is our 102nd day. The other kind of as an aside, we're twin flames, and I don't know, perhaps I didn't know what that was. It's kind of a new agey kind of category of soulmates and life partners and stuff like that. But my goodness, when you go down the checklist of what twin flames represent, it's like check. And one of them is that it can be an intense relationship, because there's in a twin flame relationship, there's so much mirroring that happens. There's so much there's commonalities, but there's also the opportunity to look at areas of your life where perhaps you're not functioning at your best, and you see that in your twin. And so they can be intense because it's an environment for growth and learning at a fast level, at an intense level. And so the intensity can be tumultuous at times too, or it can be blissful, I guess. Either way, it's like an intense kind of situation. And so we've noticed the intensity. And so a couple of times we've used the therapy, the talk therapy, the Imago talk therapy that we've been practicing regularly, almost daily, to help our relationship stay stable and to grow, even at a faster rate, if you will. We liken our situation to a vortex. Things have been funneling down to a more intense focus, and through quantum biology kind of percepts, and identified as the hormone oxytocin, which is a coupling hormone.
Yes.
Our two individual vortexes have coupled, and so our rate of change, our rate of growth is is perceptibly faster or more intense, if you will, including our physical, our physical move. Or we have a Eurovan which is packed now. We're taking off on Friday, just a couple of days. We're heading to Florida with, we have plans, but we don't have. It's pretty wide open. We're like vagabonding that, and then this trip in the middle to El Salvador. So like we're in the middle of this vortex, and it's, theoretically the spin rate in the center of the vortex is infinite. So the faster you get towards the center, towards the funnel, the faster things happen. And so that's happening to us. It's really cool. It's intense, but it's really kind of spiritually cool. It's personally cool. I was never one, like, I've been a spiritual person more or less my life, but I never considered a relationship a tool for personal spiritual growth. And what this has shown me is that my own spiritual growth, my own kind of insight into my own self has taken a major quantum leap, being coupled with Ina, and her own personal growth has similarly affected. And so that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
So you're recognizing, well, so there's a few phenomena that's going on because you found each other, you're both twin flames and you've come together. Of course, the magnitude and the volume of the intensity of the emotion obviously is really great on the love side.
Yes.
But, yeah. So that's a supernatural, not everybody in this lifetime gets to meet their twin flame. Okay.
Exactly.
And so if you allow yourself to bring that into your experience, that can be yours, which you guys are living proof that it's possible.
Yeah.
And so you knew what you wanted. And so you allowed yourself to want what you divinely wanted. And now you're together. And so it is a very intense experience. And so I once had a pastor who told me, who counseled a lot of, war veterans and couples and things like that. And he said that the degree to which you love, when you love somebody fully and intensely in that manner, if you have either a disagreement or you have any kind of betrayal, the depth of anger is going to be in direct proportion to the depth of love that you have for them. So if you love them, let's say 50 times more than normal couples love, then when that anger and that hurt comes in, the anger and the hurt is going to be 50 times more painful too, because the depth of that pain, which oftentimes manifests in anger isn't always, that's a symptom of a more deep emotion, but the depth of anger is showing either the depth of fear or the depth of pain, the depth of sorrow, the depth of insecurity, which is pain by another name, that the person is having. And so it's magnified. So if you, because you love and adore each other and you treasure this special relationship, if now you can hold the space for each other where it's like, I hear what you're saying. You're angry, you're sad, you feel betrayed, and it's okay. Let me just love on you. And you're able now to create this safe space for each other where you can come together. And we talked about this in the 90-day Heart-Mate Consciousness experiment, but I'm going to repeat it for those who aren't familiar with it. But I think part of the beauty when you come together in a beautiful relationship like this is that you can both mutually agree to create a space, and the space is like a sphere. It's not like a 2 or a 3-dimensional thing, but it's really a sphere where you and this other person create a safe space of unconditional love, unconditional communication with unconditional truth, where there's no rights, no wrongs, no taboos, no judgment, no criticism, no blame. You were there to just fully love, receive, and accept this person as they are. They can be who they truly are. And when you do this, you can, before they even say anything, oftentimes you already know. And so that person is really naked in front of you, and you're naked in front of that person too, which makes it futile for you to hold back or lie or not say something, because you actually do feel safe in this safe space going, okay, I know I'm not going to be judged. I'm not going to be criticized. anything I, say or do is not going to be, they're just going to love me through it and say, it's okay. Just let me love on you. You just need to get this out. You just need to speak. And I want to just make you feel good and make you feel safe. And I'm just here for you, standing in the gap. You're having a bad day, a bad moment. You had a bad experience or whatever the circumstances, none of that matters. It's just that this is a safe place. It's like, you can always come here knowing that you're going to leave here feeling better because I'm just going to love on you. And I don't need to fix it. All I need to do is project that unconditional love. And you know what? This is all going to be fine because I'm here for you. And then you're here for me. We're here for each other. And just as like some people will say, it's like, well, I don't want to work at a relationship, which I totally understand. I don't think that you should be toiling and working hard. But let's face it, if you buy a plant, you never give it any water, it's going to die.
Right.
So some people would say, well, that's a lot of work to remember to water the plant every day or every other day or once a week or 3 times a week, whatever the case might be. Well, the truth of the matter is if you buy a plant, you need to make sure it gets sunlight and you do need to make sure you give it water and it has to have a proper amount of air. Otherwise, it's not going to survive. And the same thing is true with your relationship. And if you value your relationship, yeah, you're going to want to be consciously putting attention on your loved one. You want them to also do, see and acknowledge you. So this is pleasant work. There might be moments that aren't pleasant, but you can now be there, not taking anything personally. You're, doing your best. You're not assuming anything. You're just like, I don't even have to say anything. Let me just love on you because you need me right now to be that there for you. And I know that you would do that for me. And that most relationships don't have that, which is what makes your relationship so incredibly special.
Yes, space is very, very important. Like, I'm glad you mentioned the space. The space between us is a really sacred space. So so this space is the most important in the relationship. So we do, like, when we do the exercise, we cross the bridge to each other, into each other's neighborhood. Then one person speaks and another listens and reflects. It's a very, it's incredible. It's incredible what the, you could be vulnerable, you could be, and you're just, all you get is pure love. And that, any issues between us, it clears, when we do that. It's incredibly, powerful exercise for the relationship.
I love what you're saying, Ina, that in that exercise, you're doing this exercise, but it's a way of communicating where one listens, one reflects, and you're really being there in a loving, sacred space with each other. So we have somebody here named Andrew who wants us to ask you, it says, could you give people in their early 20s some advice about relationships? Can you imagine if we knew this when we were in our 20s?
Yes, if we only knew that. It's wise to ask those questions.
Why?
Yeah, very wise.
So what's your advice? Ina, I'd like you to give the women's perspective, and then Rob, if you wouldn't mind giving the male perspective.
Well, it's to know what you want, your values, and really see if the other person's values would align with your values. I think it's very important in the very beginning of relationship.
Yeah, not wait half a dozen dates or more, but at the beginning, talk about values.
Yes.
That's great advice, I think, because I think people wait to be already deeply in love and they've invested 6 months or a year, and now they're starting to see a problem with values not aligning, and it's like, now what a mess.
Yeah.
Rob, what do you say?
I I really can't believe I'm giving relationship advice.
Hey, you're both doctors, so, and you're successful, twin flames that have created and manifested each other. So I say you qualify. You're highly qualified to be giving this advice.
Thank you. You're very gracious. I think the technique works. I think you have to, like Ina said, you have to know what your values are. You have to know who you are and what kind of person you want to attract, because you will attract, if you do the exercises are pretty straightforward. And that means you have to know what you want. That means you have to know what your own values are and what your own interests are. And you have to know yourself, and you have to do all the self-work on healing any hurts that you have, and what I would say, trust the process. Know that there's a process and that the process works. At least it worked well for me, for us. And you teach the process. It's a skill. I think there's a lot of skill work involved, and skills are actionable things that can be improved upon. So that would be my advice.
Wow. So you're saying know who you are, know what you want.
Yeah.
Do the process, and then trust the process. There are four pieces of really valuable information there that you've given, Rob, because it's true. The process works if you work the process, and if you just know that it's bound to come together for you. It's like, okay, it's not going to happen in 30 seconds, but it's like brushing your teeth. It's like if you just brush your teeth once and never brush your teeth again, your teeth aren't going to be in as good a shape as opposed to someone who brushes their teeth every morning and brushes them every night. Over time, you see the results. Yeah, my teeth are white. They don't have any plaque. They don't have any cavities. Then you keep on doing it. You don't stop. Which is brilliant about what you guys have shared with us here tonight, because you found each other. You're like, your text message to me before this that brought us to do this broadcast, you said that your relationship is still sizzling. Yeah. And can you imagine how many people are rejoicing? I know all of us that know you from the 90-day Heartmate Consciousness Experiment, from Dr. Joe groups, your friends and families and so forth. We're like so happy and excited. Every time I talk to you, every time I get a text message from you, a voice message from you, and vice versa, it is like, I feel your sizzling energy and the love is overflowing, and it really is a vicarious experience. And so this is possible for everyone. So Andrew, you're asking this question. He says, I love it. And it sounds so trite to know yourself. But I know that one of the things that we have learned, it's like, okay, so how do you go about knowing yourself? Knowing yourself is really loving yourself unconditionally, but we hear that all along our entire lives. And it really hasn't been until, for me, I started in 2012 and 13, where I'm like, okay, I got to live my life with an open heart. I have no idea how to do this. But it was literally one night, I'm sitting on my bed by myself, and I'm like, okay, God, I have no idea how to do this. I know I have to live with an open heart. Show me how to do this, because I have no idea. And then things begin to happen.
Right. Yeah. It's important to ask for help to the universe, I think, to have that willingness to just ask whatever your definition of a higher powers, or your understanding of higher powers. So ask God, or ask your your ancestors, or ask
angels. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's important to ask, and you will get guidance, I think, when that happens.
Yeah. So. And we will. And then once you ask that question, it's like, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I do want to do this, because I want to, or maybe you've had a pretty awesome life already, but you want from a pretty good life. Maybe you want a spectacular life, and you really want to, what, if you're here and you're alive on this planet, why not feel, experience, and express and receive the most spectacular amounts of love, the most miraculous things. Why wouldn't you want to get the most out of this life? Because you're only incarnate in this flesh and blood meat suit for a certain number of years, and then we're gone. So why would you waste the ride with kind of just settling for just average? No,
Right.
It's like, if you just want to, you have free will, so you can choose to not ask for anything, just settle for whatever default you're set to, or you can have this really miraculous life, which is what you guys are living a supernatural life.
We really
A
are.
dream.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
We comment on this every day. It's like,
living a dream.
holy
It's-
shit.
Yeah.
We're blissfully happy most of
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And simply happy the rest of the time.
Yeah. So can you imagine? So it's like, wow, when you're living in that elevated emotion of joy. I have to talk about the lighting because, of course, you guys are both physicians, so you know about melatonin levels, serotonin levels, and about the effect of blue light after sunset and so forth. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? Because I think since you're both doctors, you guys are authorities, you understand quantum biology, et cetera, you understand how it affects the human body. Share with the listeners, because we're aware of the epidemic of insomnia, the amount of blue light that people are getting from their laptops, from their television sets, from their cell phones, their iPads, their notebooks, all the electronic devices, the 5G and all that. A lot of people don't really realize that they have the power to reset themselves and put all of that aside. I know that you guys are practicing, it's after sunset where you guys are, because it's a 3-hour time difference between the East and the West Coast. We started at 5 p.m. California time, which is about sunset here. It's 8 p.m. where you're at, so it's after dark. Share with the viewers here why you have that pink reddish light. It shows like a fuchsia, which is perfect because it's the color of love, so appropriate. But share with us the medical aspects and why it is that you both have agreed to have that lighting and what's behind that.
Well, there's like hours of dissertation but the bottom line is that non-native light, not like light not from the sun, any artificial light is detrimental to health. Period. End of sentence. And natural light, sunlight, and maybe you can add firelight, candlelight, somewhat to that list, but primarily we're talking about sunlight. Is the antidote to most of the ills of the medical ills of the planet, of Western medicine or Western culture anyway. The different frequencies of light that emanate from the sun all carry information, and that information but basically dictates the overall chronobiology, the time-related biology of our entire body, as measured in things like hormone levels or melatonin or serotonin levels or dopamine levels or oxytocin levels. You mentioned melatonin. Melatonin, the synthesis of melatonin in the body begins at daybreak when sunlight first hits the melanopsin receptors in the eye and in the skin. So melatonin is a nighttime working hormone that is produced during the day, and that is destroyed by blue light, all blue light that emanates from things like every screen, every computer screen, every LED TV screen, every phone screen, every fluorescent bulb, every LED bulb on the planet. And so we are, destroying our melatonin levels by being exposed to the blue light, and we're not making melatonin well because we're not exposed to sunlight. That's just one of the hormones that is so affected. And so we practice as much as we can the elimination of of blue light and green light, which is basically the red light spectrum, especially after dark. And we wear blue blockers pretty much when we know we're going to be exposed to any kind of blue light, which is, we're on a screen now, so we're wearing these weird, funny-looking glasses. We're up every day at sunrise to see the first morning sunrise light, and we get as much outdoor sun time as we can. So that's, I mean, it's a very complex and yet simple subject. The simplicity of it is, for better health, be outside as much as you can and avoid artificial light as much as you can, especially after especially after sunset. No artificial light after sunset, or only red light after sunset. No blue light, no blue or green light kind of stuff.
Artificial blue light. There is also blue light in this.
Yeah, there's blue light in the sun, but it's balanced by the red light that comes from the sun too.
Well, yeah. And I think that this is a great conversation. Maybe we'll have another show where we'll have you talk specifically about the light spectrums and about this, because I think this is very valuable, especially the whole insomnia and the people not feeling well. And, we talked about how we are light beings, and, people know that we're made of cells and molecules, and people know that cells and molecules have electrons. You think about that. Electrons obviously are carrying electricity, and electricity is obviously light. And I think, a lot of people are aware that we have photons inside of that, and yet they're still in kind of a somewhat dumbed down denial about us being light beings. And as it pertains, they've taken babies that are blind, who are born blind. And like you talked about, the melanoceptors that are on the skin, not just in the eyes, but even in blind babies, the blind are also affected by the sunrise and the sunset, even though they may not, maybe they were born without a retina or an optic nerve. So they're actually physically blind, but your skin still can receive and perceive light. And so your melatonin and serotonin levels are going to be dictated and affected. I believe that they entrain to the sunlight.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
we would love to do a whole dissertation on that, because it really is a rich and complex and
it's
subject, but it's also as simple as be outside more.
And go ahead, Ina.
The other one is try to minimize non-native EMF, like 3G, 5G, now is 5G. It's almost everywhere. So see if you're able to be more in nature, not in the big places, big
cities.
Try to restrict exposure to like Wi-Fi. In our place, internet is wired. Try to use more of a wired internet.
And turn it off at night.
All of that. It's also negatively influences your health.
Your body, And as you're getting sunlight, your autonomic nervous system and the light energy throughout your body is in training to that, because you talked about how the sun carries information. Artificial light doesn't carry information, but that light does. So that's more power packed than we have time to go into. And it's such a rich subject that you guys are going to have to come back in a few weeks, and we'll hopefully get that scheduled before the holidays hit, because I think people really need to know that. As we speak, I got to share, I've got my selenite in front of my computer on every broadcast, because that's absorbing the radioisotopes from the electricity and the EMF waves. I actually had a physicist who had I don't know what type, I have to find out. Do you guys know the type of laser they used to point to see the radioisotopes? Do you know? I don't know.
My head.
Camera.
It's a special type of laser that when you point the light, you can actually see, depending on the stone. This one absorbs the radioisotopes, and it actually goes, like any radioisotopes that are in your environment, it gets absorbed by this particular crystal. Awesome. I have another one where it just repels it so that it doesn't affect your body. It goes to the crystal, and the crystal repels it away from your body. And I thought, that physicist is in Lake Arrowhead. That might be a good person to to connect you guys also with. Who knows? Maybe,
Cool. Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful, beautiful experience, your story, your life that's unfolding beautifully every day in every way. And I just love seeing your big, beautiful, just loving smiles, and you're just glowing. And it just gives me great joy to be able to share your story and your experience, and letting people know that it's possible for them too. And I'm excited that now that I know about a little bit more about both of you in terms of your medical backgrounds and this rich information about quantum biology and light energy, and how you can actually do things on a daily basis to regulate yourself biochemically and
Right.
the neuroendocrine system in your body and so forth. So I look forward to having you back, and I'm sending you a big hug. And as always, I'm going to say ciao for now. Thank you for joining us on Love and Money Secrets TV.
Thank you. Bye.
I love you both.
Thanks.
Ciao for now.
Mhm.